we've been doing this podcast for 5 years. We just interview people and have fun. And sometimes we have more serious topics. Sometimes we have more fun topics. Sometimes we have scientists. Sometimes we have comedians. So we just like to josh around and have fun and I don't talk about fun things.
Mhm.
So,
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
hell yeah.
We
What
never
about
have
you,
anyone
Syed?
from Scientology. That hasn't happened yet. We're still working on it. We're aiming to get Tom Cruise at some point, but the guy's like flying around all over.
Yeah,
So
let me pull some strings. I got you.
exactly, yes.
All
You got all of the connections. Maybe they're a bit, shady connections. That's fine. We'll take them. It's networking is good.
Hell yeah.
All
Yeah,
right,
I saw
guys.
some of your clips. This it looked a lot of fun, so very excited.
Awesome.
Exactly. And
Syed, roll with it.
let's do it. Guys, welcome back to another episode of A2 the Show. Today we have Tyler Strauss. Tyler is a comedian and suicide hotline worker, which is an interesting combination in my opinion. He's balancing humor with mental health support. He's been featured in Netflix as a joke, SLO Comedy Festival, and the New York Comedy Festival, and has performed at top clubs like the Comedy Store, the Laugh Factory, and Gotham. He once placed third on Wheel of Fortune just before Pat Sajak announced his retirement. Tyler's daily news jokes have earned millions of views on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and now he's on our podcast. It's good to have you, Tyler. How's your day going?
Hey, I forgot that I sent you my bio. I was like, wow, this guy really looked me up. Good Lord. Look at my LinkedIn. I work at the hotline.
We have to be prepared, Tyler. We have to know everything about you. Like the fact that we know your girlfriend is Canadian, she's sitting in Fiji right now, sipping on a mocktail,
Oh,
running away from you.
okay. Yeah, she doesn't listen to anything I do. But yeah, no, happy to be here. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
All right,
That's
Syed,
good. That's
roll
good.
with it.
How did you segue into this, like the daily news segment? What brought this idea for you?
I've always wanted to work in late night, and I think the
Mm-hmm.
normal way in is always for comics is like the writing monologue jokes because it's just
Mm.
so similar to comedy. You're just writing jokes constantly. I love sketch. I wish I could do it. Don't have that bone in my body, so I was just constantly writing these jokes in like practice for if I ever got a packet. And then I was like, you
Mm-hmm.
know what? I have nothing I'm doing on social media right now. I post every now and then, but it wasn't great stuff. And so I started doing these like kind of just weekend update style jokes. And the only reason I kept with it, I think this is very true for a lot of people that do, some of those consistent social media things, is that the first one I posted did well. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Like I could do this, And so after that, a bunch of them kind of didn't do well, and some did, some didn't. But the first joke I posted was it was around like it was the middle of March, and I posted like, Connecticut recently saw a 50% drop in its African American population, but it's expected to recover the second the Yukon basketball team returns home. And it did pretty well. And so I was like, all right, you know what? I'll just keep at it. And it's been about a year now, and I've gotten a pretty good amount of traction. So I'm just cruising along. And it's an easily replicatable thing. I think you have some people out there
Yeah.
who do they do these over the top, sketches. I'm gonna, hot air balloon to the moon. And then it's like, all right, you do one of those, and then you have to do another one the next day to post it and keep consistent. And I was like, I can pump out these jokes, put on a suit, green screen it, and just write a joke every day. So it became like a thing that I can kind of easily do. But
Are you like scouring the news? I mean, the news is kind of depressing and sad and horrifying generally, but when you read it, are you thinking about jokes and like irony?
oh yeah, well that's actually kind of the beautiful part about it is that I read the news every day. I read a couple of different I wouldn't call them newspapers, but I read like, I mean, I think you have pictures of tits and call it a newspaper, but I'm going through like, I get all my information from bangbros.com, but I'll go through like, yeah, they have really good periodicals, but I was going through like, I'll go through all of Google News and just pick out my favorite, the big headlines. I read the New York Post a lot, which is, it's just nonsense, but it's fantastic because John Mulaney does a great bit about the New York Post where it's just like, it's like if another person heard the news and was telling you about it. And that's a great way to put it because it's very hard right, like, kind of conservative-y, tabloidy kind of thing. But even when they're posting things that they mean to be serious, it's said in such a jokey, stupid way that you laugh. So I kind of like getting my news from them because it's like, even if it's terrible news, I'm just kind of like, oh, you idiots. Like, you know what I mean? And then the funny part is I read the New York Post to get content, and my mom reads it as her actual news site. So she'll send me something like, Tyler, did you see this? Or she'll be like, can you believe this? And I'm like, yeah, I already saw it. And she takes that as like, oh, I agree with her. Trump should be Pope. And then I'm just like, I can't. I'm going to out of this one.
Make Catholicism great again. It's true.
Yeah, dude, he is everything that you're required to become Pope. You know that, right? Like technically he could become Pope. Like, the only requirements the only requirements to be Pope are that you have to be baptized and have covered up a sex scandal.
Hopefully this does not like reach Trump. Like this episode does not reach Trump in any way or shape or form, so he doesn't get the idea. We don't want to give him these ideas. This is bad. Like, if you give him anything like this, he'd be like, "Yes, let's do it tomorrow. Come on, let's go." Oh man, but yeah, Trump as Pope would be wild. Like, what kind of policies do you think he would run? He would try to get through like the Vatican.
I mean, it might be nice because then he brings in Elon and they just fire a bunch of people. Get rid of the bad. I don't know. Wouldn't be bad.
Half of the cardinals. And then like child abuse in churches decreases by 50% somehow. Just for that.
It's because they fired.
Well, you know that the measles vaccine actually causes pedophilia.
Okay, I don't know if I have to. If I believe it. I don't know if that's a joke or if it's serious now.
That's the RFK Jr. approach.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys pause there for a second. I'm like, I really hope they know I don't believe that the measles vaccine causes you to be attracted to children.
That's funny because we're later this week we're interviewing Andrew Wakefield, who's the MMR vaccine guy. Who's buddies with RFK. Yeah. So so we're preparing for we've been doing a lot. And I'm like, and there's a lot of people who believe this, anti-vax stuff, including Jim Carrey, the great comedian. So
well, you know what's funny? So I had no idea Jim Carrey believed in. I don't know if Jim Carrey's the model of mental health that we should be basing. I love the guy, but you see Andy and me, and you're not like, oh, this man is the peak of emotional stability. But my older brother is autistic, and I remembered saying something just like, even if this does cause stuff, he's thriving. Like, we live in the age of artificial intelligence. My brother's autistic. If only we could all be that lucky. You know what I mean? He's like designed to succeed in 2030, and I have one skill, and I don't do it well. Like I'm jealous of, but whatever. You know, I'll leave Edge Wakefield to talk about.
Well, AI can't take over comedy. That's one of the few things it can't take over.
Yeah,
Stand up.
very true. Yeah, so we've cornered
Yeah.
the one market. I have some friends who are going into like coding right now, and I'm like, that's the only one. Like that's the number one thing that AI can replace. They're like, they want people that have personalities. I'm like, I don't think anyone coding cares if the person that's coding has a personality. Like,
Yeah, that's
no
so
one's
true.
in the
Because
middle
like,
of a coding. No one's in the middle of a coding binge going, oh, anyone know any good jokes? Can use some help here.
yeah, I think the autism is basically the future. Like autism and AI are just at the same level. For all we know, the A in AI actually stands for autism. Autism
Autism
intelligence.
Oh,
intelligence.
It's not
of
artificial
course,
intelligence. It's autism intelligence. Yes,
of
that's
course.
that's the.
Uh,
But yeah. Hmm. Ali, what do you think?
Let's talk. Yeah, let's talk about why is Jim Carrey so depressed and anxious and stuff like that. I mean, he has everything. He's the funniest guy. He started from nothing. He made money. He's you know living his best life. He's in so many amazing movies. He's like the king of comedy.
you
But
know,
yeah, very sad guy.
he. I feel like he's one of those people that's like too brilliant. You know, like if you watch him in the Truman Show or
Yeah,
what's that one, the Eternal Sunshine of the
Eternal
Spotless
Sunshine.
Mind, is that him?
Mm-hmm. Yep, yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean you can see him like coming from real places of sadness, and you're just like there's there's no way that this guy wasn't lonely growing up. Like, I'm sure that he had just, I mean, I'm sure that comedy was a thing he kind of developed to escape being kind of lonely and stuff. Because I feel like there's some people you see and you're like, oh, comedy is like a real big bonding thing for you with people. Like I think you look at like Conan
Mhm.
or some of those kind of people, and you're like, oh, like comedy really made your friend group and made you who you are, and it gave you a reason to like be with other like-minded people. I almost feel
Mm-hmm.
like Jim Carrey was such a loner that comedy was like the thing that he was able to channel all that emotion into. So I don't know if
Mm.
comedy was so much a
Mhm.
bonding thing for him as much as like a almost uh,
Like an outlet for him to release.
yeah, an outlet in a
Yeah.
really emotional raw way instead of a like because we all know like I'm a very jokey joke person, and I think that
Mhm.
I get comedy as like my bonding way with everyone else that I know, and like comedy is the way that I express myself. But I'm not really doing any big thought provoking pieces. My comedy really isn't kind of that Andy Kaufman-y style.
Yeah.
I feel like those kind of people have a real kind of separate individual emotional thing that they're getting out in their comedy that is maybe a little less um, bonding and a little more like just the only thing that they can do kind of thing.
Mm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, well, Jim Carrey can also he can paint, right? He's a multi-talented guy. I don't
Oh
know what
yeah.
else he does.
And I meant it as like less of a he has other skills and more of a like it's just him expressing himself. It's the only way he can express himself is by doing these really emotional things or like off kilter.
Yeah,
And I think there's a
and
Yeah.
lot of
He's
those people that we'll see, I'll see at least at shows or something where every now and then you'll see someone where you're like, this is amazing, but who who the hell can come up with this? Like what's going on in that brain that he's able to even think of this or commit to
mm.
this?
Mhm. Yeah, he is a very like overly expressive person. He's very animated. He wants to just like use his whole body as like to make the joke happen. He's not just gonna say the words. He's also gonna like act it out. He seems he for me, it's like he's hyping up the joke as he's saying it, using his movement.
Yes.
Um, I think that comes from the painting, to be honest. He's like painting his joke into the like kind of thing.
Yeah, and
Um,
painters, famously emotionally stable people. There we go. Yeah, Vincent Van Gogh. Everyone always said that man has his life together.
it's always like the ones that have emotional issues that somehow want to really express themselves and go be very boisterous. That's the
Yes,
word.
like there's a lot of comics that I think are everyone in the world struggles with, I think, some levels of anxiety, depression, and whatever. But you see some people like, there's no way Sam Kinison just wakes up and goes like, or back when he was alive, was just like, all right, honey, I'm off to work. I'll see you later. And then he shows up and he's like, ah, like, I feel like
It doesn't make sense, yeah.
yeah, there's a certain kind of different gear, I feel like, that some of those more avant-garde people have. And I don't have that gene myself. I like to express myself, but my comedy is very much just set up punch. Here's a funny joke. But power to them. I'm very impressed and always blown away by a lot of the stuff that those people can come up with. But it does make you think that they're probably a little more open to these kind of episodes of just emotional discomfort that like Jim Carrey goes through. Maybe a little more volatile.
And speaking of volatile, I think, Ali, we have to transition into the topic of the 100 men versus one gorilla. Like, Tyler, we need your analysis on this.
I mean, Harambe died because of a toddler, so I feel like there's room to do it.
That's a good point. That's a good point, yeah.
But no, if we have any kind of weapon, then it's a different question. But if we don't have a weapon, we have no fucking shot. We have no shot. Have you ever been to like a summer camp where, like, I was a camp counselor at this camp in Connecticut, and this is going to be the most, oh my God, this is going to sound like I took a yacht to lacrosse practice. I went to this camp.
That's
camp
called
called
fuck, man.
Yeah, no, it's all Camp Renaissance, right? This is the camp that my parents were like, our dumb, stupid child needs to go to a safe camp. Let's send him to Camp Renaissance. So I went to this camp, and it was a lot of fun. But like, after I aged out, I became a counselor. I was like a high schooler, I think, or maybe a college kid, and I was a camp counselor. And I was in charge of like the 3 to 5 year olds with like, not in charge, but I would help with them. And every now and then, like 7 of them would try to like sneak attack you, and like one would grab a leg, the other would like jump on your back or something. And I'd have like 11 of them attacking me, and I'm like, oh no, that's what this gorilla would be doing to us. No number of humans trying to bring this thing down would matter.
But Tyler, like, what if so you had 11 toddlers against you? What if they were multiplied by 10? I mean, if they were all stacked on you, the sheer weight of them, like 100, maybe like 115 kilo kids. So that's like 1,500 kilos just like all piling on you. That's a lot of pressure, you're gonna collapse.
Yeah, but do you know the organizational skills of a 3-year-old? They're not going to be like, all right, we'll do a pincer maneuver. You go around the side, send 4 over the top. You got them in like a huddle. No,
I mean, okay, but these are men that we're talking about, so like
fair.
They're going to be a bit more organized,
Okay, I think I think if the gorilla doesn't have any barrels that it can throw at us, then maybe. But yeah, okay. If all of the men are Italian,
Okay.
named
They have to be Italian. Made in Japan. Yeah.
Made in Japan. Yes, Italians made in Japan. Can we talk about that for a second? Okay. The Italian.
Yeah.
Sorry. The Japanese, okay?
Yeah.
The Japanese. Okay, World War II is over. They go, all right, we need to rebrand. We had a rough couple years. We've done some bad things. What should we do? And what do they come up with? Oh, hey, let's do Hello Kitty. Okay, great idea. Okay, oh, hey, let's do, this other thing. Great idea. And then Nintendo goes, okay, I have a great idea on how to distract people from the fact that we were a part of the Axis powers. We're going to have a video game, and the lead character is going to be from one of the Axis powers.
Yes.
You could have picked any country in the world, and they were like, let's make him Italian. Like, just don't make him Italian. Don't make him German. Make him anything else. Make him Peruvian. It doesn't matter. But they make him Italian. How is... I don't know. I feel strongly about that. But
yeah.
But he doesn't even look Italian. That's the thing. He doesn't even look Italian. He looks Mexican. That's the issue. That's like the confusion.
Was he got overalls on? But yeah. So to answer your question, I do think 100 men could beat up a gorilla, but it would have to be a well coordinated attack. It would have to be very well done. It couldn't just be let's all bum rush them and see what we can do.
That makes sense. Yeah, it totally depends on the guys doing it, how strong they are, and how smart and coordinated they are.
That is a good point.
Going
That's a good point because if we have 100 Michael Sarahs, it's not going to win.
Snap.
But if you have 100 Chris Hemsworth, like maybe.
I'm visualizing it in my head. It's like
So yeah, I'm on board.
Nice.
Let's do it.
He's joined our side.
Sign up.
Would you volunteer to be one of the 100 men?
I would volunteer to provide the utmost of encouragement to
of the group.
all of the
from the sidelines.
I would never. I am the biggest, just absolute wuss on the face of the earth. I would never volunteer for. If I got drafted, I think I would. You know what? If I got drafted to be like a drummer in the band, in the military, I would do that. I would. You think if we had like, how nowadays we have like Air Force, Navy, Marines, all these different things you can get drafted into? Yeah. Do you think that like back in the 1600s or something, you could get drafted into like the infantrymen, drummer, flag holder, like all these different things, and you're sitting there just like, come on!
It's like a raffle thing. It's like they spin it and then you get the number and it's like, oh shit. It's like you get
exactly. Yeah.
But the drummer is like such a dangerous role because like you're just you're drumming out there and you're literally making sounds and you're basically telling the enemy like, yo, I'm right here, you can shoot me and I'm not gonna get behind cover or anything. You're just walking up to them.
Hey, we're ready for the battle. Let's do it. We've got. You know what they should have done? You ever see Troy, the movie Troy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how Brad Pitt, like, they go up to one, country or whatever, the city-state, and the king is like, all right, we'll have just a duel. Our best guy versus your best guy. And if our guy wins, we don't have to fight the war. We win. And then Achilles comes in, he wins the fight, whatever. I think we should have done that with drummers. So you have like the British Redcoats show up, and you have like Washington shows up to fight them. and they're somewhere in whatever New Jersey, and then they just have their two drummers go out and do like a riff off, and whoever wins gets New Jersey.
It's as arbitrary as the other one. I mean, it's so random. You know, guys going out to war to just freaking kill themselves. You know, just throwing yourself. You're like freaking meat fodder.
Oh, it's
Yourself.
wild.
It's so suicidal.
It's wild. And you got one guy with like a flute, and then you have the flag holder.
The whole orchestra just going to war.
That would have been a great duel, a flautist duel, or whatever. But I still always laugh at the idea of the flag holder. Like you have a guy that walks out, his only job is to be like, you know who you're fighting, but I'm gonna just remind you that we're here. And it's like that guy could have been shooting people. He just
yeah, that's true. I know, right? Waste of space.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he couldn't be shooting people if that's all he's training for. To hold the flag. He's probably some guy's younger brother or something like that. Just hold the flag.
You know the issue. By the way, the issue with the flag bearer, like if he dies, he has to like as he's dying, pass the flag to someone else. Like someone has to pick it up from him. So you're just losing another person directly after. Yeah, the flag has to stay up, man. It's like because if it goes down, it's kind of like a loss of morale. So if the flag bearer goes down, someone else has to carry the flag, and you're basically just losing another person as well.
I would have shot that guy first.
Just keep shooting the flag.
People clamoring to go get the flag. Well, you know why they might have had him? Because Europe is a very stormy place. So maybe the captain was like, we need something to attract all the lightning so that I don't get hit.
That makes sense.
So he just handed some guy a big metal stick and was like, I guess we'll tie a flag to it. All right, there we go.
Yeah, the flag is for the wind, instead of going like this every 2 seconds, they could just look at the flag.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. That was a cheap joke.
I wish they had cameras back in the day. I wish someone was out there vlogging or documenting all those epic battles in the Civil War. It would have been so fun to watch later on Reddit, but they never did that. And cameramen never die, so that's what I would do in that situation. Just go out there with my little iPhone, filming. And that's what I usually do whenever I see some kind of confrontation in front of me on the streets. I don't try to intervene or anything. I just pull out my phone and document it. I'm the camera guy. And that way I'm protected. No one ever messes with the camera guy.
Well, I feel like that's also why, like, war stories used to be so good. It used to be like, oh, you should have seen Ali. Ali was fighting he fought through 6 elephants. And they had a dragon. And you're like, I don't think they did. And they're like, well, they did. And you're like, I guess I wasn't there. So I guess they had a dragon. I don't know. And now it's like
that's so funny.
Now we all know. You have 85 pictures. You have a GoPro strapped to the guy. Satellite images. Now we all know it's just like 6 guys walked into a pit. And then they were just shooting blindly, and one of them hit the target.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of gross. Yeah, I guess that's more horrifying than dragon fairy tale stories.
Do you think they had they used to have just like how we have courtroom sketch artists?
Yeah.
Did they have like a battlefield sketch artist? Everyone hold.
Well, I wonder if they had, how like when soldiers come back from the war, they have PTSD or some like kind of shock effect of what happened. Was that a thing back in the day too? Like, back in the Roman Empire. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there was a lot of rampant PTSD, but it was also like I think in a world where gladiators are like your number one athlete, you probably walk around just going like, it could be worse. I'm a hero.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't know.
Probably just leads
Speaking
to
of
like more
WeHo,
domestic
though.
abuse, you know?
Yeah.
That was their
That's
coping
fair.
mechanism. Yeah.
But speaking of WeHo, though, I mean, Romans and Greeks, they were all about they had straight sex for babies and gay sex for fun. So you'd say that I'm living in a, WeHo, my Canadian girlfriend. I say I'm just a very Romanesque man.
That's the better. Yeah, there you go. That's the best way to describe it. Go for it, man.
Hey, I am as Greek as the small penises on those statues. I am. If that's all it takes, then call me Sophocles or whatever, name a Greek person. Oh, can we talk about that? Okay, here's a thing I was listening.
Yeah, of course.
Recently. Okay,
What happened?
Socrates, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The man gets killed because he was telling his kids to or his students to question everything, including the gods and whatever. He's like, always ask why, all this different stuff. He was openly banging his students, many of whom were male, and the ancient Roman civilization was like, we're perfectly fine that this is a homosexual relationship. We're also perfectly fine that a person who's a teacher is just plowing all his students. But we draw the line at you encouraging them to just ask simple questions. That's a bit weird, is it not? Like, you can't just be banging your students. What a weird civilization, Maybe I'm alone on this, but
sounds like not much has changed since then.
Yeah. My hometown. So I'm from Farmington, Connecticut. All right. We had a big scandal when we were in high school. One of our teachers, I believe, so one of our teachers had a sex scandal, but it wasn't like a normal sex scandal, because normal sex scandals are like, male teacher, female student. Mm-hmm. Our sex scandal was male teacher, female cow. Yeah.
Excuse me, please repeat. What?
Please, and elaborate.
We had a teacher who banged a cow and got arrested for it. And
why?
That's illegal.
Don't ask me why. This isn't part of our culture. I didn't grow up with bangers.
I mean, I don't know anything about Connecticut, so I'm like, this is news to me, It sounds like, I don't. If you guys bang cows, I mean, sure, fine, do your thing, man.
Yeah, Saeed's about to tell people, like, these Jews in Connecticut are doing some weird thing.
Sounds warm, to be honest. Yep.
No, so this guy. So apparently, what happened was the cows were starting to get skittish. So the farmer was like, "Oh, I bet you there's coyotes that are coming in and scaring these cows." So he put a camera all over the farm. And what does he find? He finds a video of a guy banging his cows. And that's not the weirdest part. The weirdest part is that he had a friend of his filming him. No way. This guy apparently would cover himself in Jell-O and then bang the cows, and had a friend of his from my school also film the whole thing. And to this day, I'm trying to figure out how do you find out someone else is also into that?
What the fuck?
How do you recruit for that? Like, do you just leave your camera, like your computer screen, on like a picture of a cow, and you're like, oh wow, what a picture? Do you think? What do you think of this? Oh, guys.
Probably was a flyer you posted on the wall or something like that.
Yeah,
Recruiting.
yeah,
I
yeah.
need a videographer.
Oh man, I wish I could like if you could find that if you have that article or anything any information
Oh,
about that, please send it. I want to know what was going through this guy's mind for him to
dude.
actually want to do this. Like,
Said, I
Yeah,
think I
why
know
is he doing?
exactly what was. He was very horny.
Bro,
pretty
like
One
you
more-
have a salary, you can just pay someone to do it, you know. You don't have to go out of your way to a farm and just find a cow. You know, it's like it's unnecessary. Also, why
that's what I'm
you
saying.
yeah.
Pay
Also, why is he
someone.
covering himself in gelato? Like, what the fuck is bro? There's so many questions, so much understanding
I think that
needing,
was for the
so much
cow.
context.
So the
Okay,
cow
at
Oh
can
least
enjoy.
God.
yeah.
Oh,
He was thinking about the cow. He's being considerate. That's
He's
okay. That's
lubing
nice.
up with Jello. Oh my gosh, it's so gross. Well, it
yeah,
probably
that's
started
right.
off with him like he like walked across the street, saw the cow. The cow was like bent down some way. He was like, "Wow, that's a hot
Yeah.
cow." He was his girlfriend just broke up with him. You know, he was like, "Damn, that's a cow with a big butt." You know, and then
Uh,
yep.
He smelled her,
it
her
just
perfume. It was so good. You know, such a nice fragrance. Yeah, of course. It's like all of it plays in. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Whatever story you want to sell, that's fine.
yeah. The farmer's trying to figure out why his milk now tastes so salty.
Now, if you saw that, what would you do? So you saw your teacher out there, you know, penetrating a cow. What would you do? Would you like confront him? Would you film it? Would you
Mm.
call the cops? What would what would you do as a student? Would you like
Well, I
not
wouldn't
tell?
film
Yeah.
it.
I
Yeah,
guess.
that's a weird option.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be like, well, that one's for later. Now it's time to call the cops. I think I would have gotten much better grades, that's for sure. I think
Yeah.
someone doesn't have to read Beowulf to get an A on the project anymore.
I'm just
You know
thinking.
what? I think I would have. I don't even know that I'd go to the police because I think it's such a ridiculous thing. I wouldn't even think to myself, "Oh, this is illegal." I'd probably just be like, "Oh, I guess people bang cows. That's just a thing." I don't know. Like, look, I didn't bang at all in high school. I was, and it was not my choice, but I didn't have any sex in high school at all. So I get the plight of the insect, but I probably would have told enough people that eventually it got out to the right people. I think I would have just been telling people as like, oh, guess what? I saw Mr. Whatever, Mr. Kumquat banging that cow. And they were just like, what? And then eventually someone would be like, all right, we gotta intervene. And then we'd do like a sting operation. I don't know.
Something probably has to be done. I don't know. I don't
You
know
have to
either.
stop him.
Um,
Yeah, you can't let him keep going
yeah.
on this tirade because you never know what animal's next, too.
Well, I was going to say, is that the question? Could 100 men bang a gorilla?
Oh my.
I think the gorilla would like it.
If I was, oh my God.
I know it's horrifying.
I
It's
don't know
animal
if we,
stuff.
I don't know if we can get consent from these animals. I don't know if we can actually understand if they are enjoying this or not.
No,
That's like
I
a
Tyler
such.
Strauss, Tyler Strauss believe we should not have sex with animals. I do.
Thank you for proclaiming that.
Yeah, I mean, we're joking about it. Obviously, it's just all jokes and stuff, but it's not real. Like,
Contrary
it's
to
not,
everything I've said, I believe that we as humans should not have sex with animals.
Well, I mean, what is it
Thank you for
about
clarifying that,
joking?
Tyler. Yes.
Why do people joke about like things that are so horrifying too, like that? You know, it's like earlier today, Said was making tons of joke about suicide, and it was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna walk off the building." I'm like, Said, what? It's not funny, bro. It's not. It's not funny at all, bro. Keeps doing these kinds of jokes, and it's
Yeah.
freaking. It hurts my feelings, bro. You need to stop, bro. I don't. It's not funny to me. I don't know how to tell you.
I think it can be hilarious. Because I mean, as you said earlier, like I work in suicide prevention, and
Yeah.
I have whole chunks of my stand up that are about the hotline, and I think it's because it it's such an easy thing to build tension around. So when you release that tension, it's
Mm.
very gratifying to people to hear a dark joke that they know is benign. I mean,
Mm.
Jeselnik's whole career is just
That's true.
dark jokes he shouldn't joke about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because we all believe that he wouldn't actually do any of the things he does. You know, if someone like if Bill Cosby came out with a new album called like Sex with Cosby, I don't think anyone would be excited, you know. But
I don't think he
I
should
need to
release
hear
an
that.
album. He should probably release like a master class. That's what he
that would be a yes. That would be a definite pivot for masterclass. But
that would be for
um,
like all of the psychopaths in Hollywood. You know, they would be like, oh, that's something I should watch.
yeah, they're gonna have my old teacher on to talk about like animal safety. But yeah, I think the dark material done well, if you do it in a way that's clearly like you thought about it and it's benign, you know. So I do a
Mm,
lot of material about working the suicide hotline,
Yeah.
but none of my jokes are about the callers. You
Mm.
know, the jokes are
mm,
always about me being an idiot, um, you know, how I feel. If it is about the call, like sometimes I do make jokes about the call themselves, but the jokes are
mm.
about me being a moron or something. So the jokes are never about the person calling in. It's
Yeah,
never demeaning towards them because no one wants to laugh at someone who's suicidal, but they want to
Yeah.
laugh at
yeah.
someone who's clearly joking about it. You know, like I hopefully don't seem like I'm going to kill myself. So, so
No, you
people,
seem fine. Yeah.
thank you. So people will, you know, laugh. It's, um, it's just it's very ripe for comedy because I think it is a very stressful topic. So people like to have some kind of relief when thinking about it.
Mm,
You know, it's the same way that like a lot of underrepresented minorities talk a lot about their group of people or their experiences and they become huge. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because I think a lot of people either have mixed feelings or they feel uncomfortable. Like if someone brings up being, you know, gay in a very conservative Southern family, then instantly you go, oh no, I hope they're okay. So if they're making jokes, then it makes you go, oh, they are okay. Okay. And I can
Mm.
laugh along with them. Um, so that's how I feel about it. Like, you know, it's, I think as long as you have that in mind and you think about that, the jokes can be really, really great. And that being said, like Jeselnik doesn't make jokes that are like relieving tension. You know, all of his jokes end in him being a pedophile or
Mm-hmm.
a murderer or a, you know, whatever. But because we know he's playing a character and we know he would never do it, we find it hilarious. And so I think that's the key there. Because I think we all know people who will do really dark material and you're like, I'm not laughing because I kind of think
It's real.
you might be a
Yeah.
psychopath, you know?
Ouch.
Shit. Yeah.
It's hard.
Like
Well,
we all know the oh go
what's the
ahead, go ahead.
line? Yeah, what's the line then between someone who's joking about suicide and someone who's actually suicidal?
Um I think well, first of all, when it comes to comics, I think the line is very fine. But I always joke that I talk to suicidal people all day, and then I go work at the suicide hotline. But
Sorry, that took me a while to get it.
Comics are not the most mentally healthy people on earth, but the fact that I'm doing it is proof they're letting the inmates run the prison. But I think it really is that level of just because I have fun on stage. When I'm on stage, I'm having unless I'm bombing my dick off, but usually I'm having fun, and I think people can sense that. So they're like, "Oh, this guy's having fun. He's almost like a friend. We're gonna give him leeway." But there are some people who will make jokes where, like you said earlier, a lot of times, a classic line is people will say like, "Oh God, I'm gonna go kill myself," and most of the time you go, Ali's just funny. But every now and then you hear someone say that. You hear someone say that, and you're like, please don't. Like,
That was Ali with me. He's like, he didn't know whether he wanted to laugh or cry because it was over text. So,
oh God, yeah, nothing like an emotionless place to make that joke.
So over like the suicide hotline, do you ever make jokes with the people like to break the tension or anything? Or does that not work? Is that not allowed?
Only if it's allowed. It is surprising how much is actually like not just allowed but encouraged on the hotline, because you'd think it's a place where you kind of go and you basically just say like, life's worth living, oh my God, those problems sound awful. Oh,
Yeah.
there's hope on the horizon. But if you're really in danger of suicide, you don't want to hear someone saying kind of empty things. I'm sure that all of your friends have already said that. So
Yeah.
some people do need to hear that. Some people do need to hear like, hey, there is hope. You're a really good person, and all of the things are valid and stuff like that. But if I personally was calling, I would be like, hey, thanks for telling me that, but give me proof. I feel at the end of my wit, I don't want to, be just told these kind of fake encouraging things. So for a lot of people, they actually like it when you're really blunt. I've said to people before, I've said to people like, they'll be like, there's no reason to live. I'm going to kill myself. And I'm just like, well, you could try these couple things. You could always kill yourself later. You can always do it.
I thought when you said a couple of things, as in like, these are ways to do it.
Well, because it's true. It's like a lot of times people feel like being able, they feel like they have no control of their lives. Yeah. And if you tell them not to kill themselves or they can't kill themselves, it makes them feel like they're losing another thing, the only thing that they have control over. So I always like to tell people like, try these like 4 or 5 things, go do these things. You can always do this final thing. You can always do it later, but you can't ever try these things afterwards. So why not? And it actually, for some people, that really does work, because they're like, oh, hey, you're being honest with me. I trust you. So to answer your question, I do make jokes every now and then, but only if it's people that like really, if to your point, it's like, I feel like they're kindred spirits. If I'm talking to someone and I'm like, oh, this person and I might have been friends if we met in the real world, I might be cracking jokes after they're feeling better. But if someone's like actively crying, I'm not going to be like, wow, look at this. Listen to this fountain over here.
That's.
Everybody
must
reading.
It's all about reading the room.
I'm hearing Tears for Fears right here. But
Yeah,
Yes.
it's
So
about, I guess, like reading the room kind of thing, like
yeah,
over
exactly.
phone.
Exactly. And you adjust to
Yeah.
everyone. You adjust to everyone. Some people want to hear that, all of the ways that they acted were, maybe they feel insecure about something. Maybe it's like a breakup or something like that. And they want to feel that they were validated or something. And some people want to hear
Mm.
like, hey, I did something shitty. I know it was shitty. Is there a way that I can get out of it? So you have to just adjust to everyone. And as long as they feel like you're being honest with them,
Yeah.
they'll trust you, and then they'll try the stuff that you suggest. And so that's really the whole big thing of it is. And I always tell people too, the hotline is the only place that these people can have these conversations. A lot of times they'll call in because they don't have someone they trust enough to have it, or they have
Yeah.
information that they don't feel comfortable sharing with anyone else. Maybe there's a gang member who wants to get out of the gang, or maybe there's again, going back to the old example, maybe there's a person in a highly religious Southern family who's gay. So they can't tell their friends who are also in that community that they're gay.
Yeah.
So they call us and they tell us, these anonymous, faceless people who are never going to tell anyone anything. So you really have an opportunity to be a trustworthy kind of source for information they can't tell anyone else. And so sometimes it is nice to tell a joke or something, but it all depends on whether they trust you or not. And so I just spend every call trying to make sure people feel like I heard them, I was listening to them, and whatever they're calling about is valid. That being said, sometimes we get callers who are like, we've had a big influx of sex callers recently.
Really?
So people
Okay.
that
love.
call to like basically
Looking for
like
love.
Louis C.K. it, they're calling to jack off on the other side of the line.
Oh,
And
Oh,
it's
what do
man.
you tell them? What do you tell them?
well,
Stop or
what
can
I
hear
always
you?
do, you can always tell. This is the funniest part about it is
I
they
can smell.
usually yeah, they usually don't want to hear my voice.
Ah,
They're
yeah.
usually calling in hoping to hear a lady. So when they hear my voice come through, just like "sup," they usually, I can hear like almost disappointed heaving.
You're like, oh.
And I try to then continue talking as much as possible so that they get as turned off as possible so they won't call back. So you hear me just going like, oh yeah, hey, what's going on, man? How you doing? Oh, you came to the wrong place now, big boy. But
It's actually a good strategy. Yeah.
No longer suicidal. I
But
got
I try to be somewhat nice though, because like the line between person calling the suicide hotline for sex and person who's suicidal, that line can't be that long.
Yeah, definitely. You don't want that to a reputation, you don't want to mix that up.
Yeah. It is funny. We've had an influx of those recently, and we actually have a rule that women calling in can request female counselors, but men cannot because of exactly that. We don't
Ah,
want a man to
Totally
call in and be
fair.
like, "Oh, hello there. Yes, Tyler, is it? Can I please speak to a woman? I just feel more comfortable. I grew up with sisters, and I would like to speak to a woman." And then all of a sudden, the woman's like, "Oh yeah,
Men give me trauma. Yeah,
yeah."
exactly.
So we
Oh.
but we every now and then I'll see a message in our big group because we have a massive all hands on the shift group chat, and every now and then you'll see someone just like, FYI, someone named David's been calling, and I think he's pleasing himself on the other side of the line.
I mean,
like, ah, boy.
If you're suicidal, what's gonna keep you looking forward to life is love.
Fair.
I think if
But-
anything, you need to hit on him. You know.
I think I might be I might be out of a job on that one.
Maybe give him some dating pointers, you know, like maybe how to get a woman. Like that.
Yeah.
That could be the.
Do what I do. Beg. That's
One.
I never
Don't
know how
call
to
this
help
line
you.
again.
Like, I got a girlfriend by the glory of God, and you know, like, and I love her, and she's fantastic. She's amazing, and God, thank you for that. Because if I didn't have her, if we break up, I'm screwed. She'll find someone within 15 minutes, and I will be alone for the rest of my life. I have no shot at meeting anyone else. So I am like basically telling people like, oh yeah, you know, if you're in a relationship and it's not going great, yeah, you should you know, feel free to break up. But I have no advice for you on how to find someone again. Like, get a magic 8-ball, see if that'll work. Cross your fingers.
Just get on a dating app or something. I don't know.
Did you know that the Jewish dating app, if you get a match on JSwipe, they toss you up in a little chair.
Wait, that's a thing or
Yeah.
a joke? Okay.
No, it really does. It's not a joke. I wish that was a joke. Also, and this was a couple of years ago, so obviously it wasn't like with the new, you know, the current climate. I was on there for a hot second. The first two girls that I matched with were both like former Israeli soldiers, and they were both like, you know, talking about how they wanted to go back. And I'm just like, is this a recruiting tool? Like, is JSwipe being used as like the IDF's recruitment? Like,
were they like trying to flirt with you, being like, hey, you know, like, you know, kind of just want to come back. Do you want to come back with me? Stuff like that.
Literally, I went on a date with a girl, and she used to be in like the Air Force for the IDF, and she was just like, and I really just, I feel like I want to go back, and those were some of the best years of my life. And I'm sitting there like, you heard me earlier. Like, if I had to be in the military, I'm drumming. Like, I'm not going to do this. I don't want to go at all. I want to be in LA in my cozy WeHo apartment writing jokes. I don't think that the military has a real need for a guy like, hey, I wrote 7 dick jokes today. You guys need any? We need ammunition. Oh, well, I got a really good take on Trump being Pope. I did go to, there is a funny story about, I went to Israel on birthright when I was like 20, whatever the hell. And we're in Israel, and we go to the Golan Heights. And I don't know how familiar you guys are with Israel, but we go up there, and we're hanging out. And my tour guide, right? So this is a Jewish birthright tour of Israel. The tour guide goes, well, this is the Sea of Galilee, where Jesus allegedly walked on water. And I was like, did you really have to throw in the like, no one here is going to hear you go, Jesus walked on water, and go like, oh, well, if Jesus walked on water, why am I not Christian? I guess, okay, I'm converted. I'll never forget that. Jesus allegedly walked on water.
That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's not
all
like
of our miracles were real, but Jesus allegedly.
Why would he say that? I mean, Jesus was a Jew, or also like that. It's like,
Oh, it's yeah. They should have leaned into it. They should have said like only Jews can perform miracles.
I mean, yeah.
The Jews turn water to wine. The Jews can walk on water. The Jews can do whatever Moses was doing. I don't know. I didn't read the Torah, but and then the best is that we were up there, and that's so that area of Israel is right next to Syria. So we're on the border, and the Syrian civil war I think had just kicked off. This was like 2017 or 2018 or something like that, and you could see like Syria from the Golan Heights, and I see a couple guys who are from the UN, and I guess they were like UN peacekeepers. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking to myself, who the hell, what country could these guys be from that they're impartial when it comes to the Middle Eastern conflicts? That they're not going to side with either Israel or Arab countries. And I walk up to one of the guys to ask them where he was from, and he just goes, "Hey, mate." And I was like, "Yep, that makes sense."
British dude.
Yeah, he's British.
No, an Australian. We got an
Australian dude. Oh, I see.
Yeah,
completely removed.
My accent work isn't very good, dude, my accent
Australian makes more sense. I was a bit confused with the British because they're definitely not impartial.
I get it.
Oh, and the British. Can we comment on the British are responsible for the Middle Eastern conflict? Yep. Can we please assign blame where blame is due?
I know.
Because
oh yeah, definitely.
The British were the ones that were like, "Oh God, the Holocaust was terrible. Oh, well, we've got this area we could put them. Yeah, we got the we got Palestine. We got this spot, the old Israel homeland. What do you think? What do you think? What do you say we put them there and we call the last 200 years of slaughtering people just even?" It's like the British. Oh,
I
know, right?
Those guys are like really insane, especially when it comes to immigration. Like, I remember I read at once in the there's an article about World War II history where they allowed the children of families that were escaping from Germany to enter the UK, but they rejected their parents. So they only took the children because the children would be easier to assimilate into British culture. Imagine.
Oh my God.
They only accepted a certain amount. I think it was like maybe 7,000, I'm not sure if it was 7,000 or 70,000, something like that. But that was like the maximum they accepted.
That's why, those horrible bastards. That's why, that's why you see Schindler's List, not Churchill's List,
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Exactly.
He actually did something, Schindler was like, "I got to help all these people." I guess he also only helped children, but it wasn't the same.
He was a good guy.
What's a fun fact is, so my family, my heritage is my dad's side is 100% German.
Okay.
And fled during the Holocaust. And then my mom's side is 100% Russian and fled during Stalin.
Oof.
Oh,
so, awful. But in a way, without two kind of Jewish persecutions, I wouldn't be in America. So, there's the good side and the bad. I just...
Yeah, it's a great track, It's like two prosecutions to lead to a comedian.
Well, my dad's family was like a prominent family in Germany, and because my great grandpa was famous he was a soccer player,
Oh wow,
and
in Germany.
Oh, nice.
Mhm.
yeah, he played on like a World Cup team in whatever the hell year.
That's cool.
Or
Mhm.
yeah, and he is to this day, and this is the proudest of our family that I've ever been. He is to this day the only man in international soccer play to be banned for life for kicking someone in the balls.
So, what's his name?
Reinhold Strauss.
Okay, how do you spell that? Wait.
Reinhold.
Nhole.
OLD.
Reinhold. Oh,
We've
Reinhold.
tried. Yeah, D as in the dick that he kicked to get banned. But we've tried to find like news about this or anything. We can't find the newspaper, but there is like plenty of proof out there that he was an international player and he did 100%. Like it's completely true. Family lore. He kicked a French defenseman in the balls.
Was it like on purpose? Was it an
Oh
accident?
yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh no. This was a just a swing in a direct hit. And I'd like to think that my great grandfather was the closest the Nazis ever came to accepting someone. You know, they were like, "You kicked the French defenseman in the balls. Maybe all Jews aren't that bad."
Wait, let me just share screen. I found his Wikipedia page, and so I'm trying to find the part where it says he was. Okay, the debut in the Bundesliga was successful against Oh man, he's been playing against Borussia Dortmund and relegation. He's been relegated. Only played one more in Bundesliga. He was on the last one. Okay, so apparently he was forced to end his professional career due to a knee injury. Was that because he kicked someone in the balls? Is that how he got the knee injury?
That's a great point. That's a great point.
It may have been. All I know is the international part he had to stop because of doing that. So the knee injury was probably just overall career. I'm surprised they don't have it on his Wikipedia. But yeah, it was like one of my grandpa's favorite stories was telling people that.
And that, I mean, what do you think is going to happen if 100 men tackle a gorilla? Just all it takes is one kick to the nuts. And the
There we go.
goes
We
down.
cracked it. Wow.
You need your grandpa.
And somehow,
your great
and
grandpa.
that was actually a double callback because you called it back not only to the gorilla, but also to animal genitalia.
Sight. That was a great episode. Yes. We can wrap up now.
I think that's a great pitch. And, Tyler, thank you for coming on to the podcast.
In there. I hope I haven't botched everything and talked about sex with animals, but
there has been a lot of abuse towards animals on this episode, to be honest. But disclaimer, guys, like it was all jokes, so we have nothing against animals.
Once again, anyone from PETA listening, Tyler Strauss says no.
No, don't do
it.
Just don't, for jokes. And don't kill yourself. Don't commit suicide. If you need a hotline,
do not kill yourself.
Tyler.
Call 988. Unless you want to jack off, in which case, do not.
In which case, we're gonna put Tyler's Instagram in the bio.
Put in my burner phone number.
Awesome. So this has been a wrap, guys. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And peace.
Ciao. We're out of here.